don't care who Mike Tyson used to be, Dean. If he loses to that 58-year-old man, what should we think of this whole boxing epidemic that Jake Paul has begun that started on YouTube?
No, I'm telling you now, if he loses, it will be by knockout. And if he does lose, that is the end of the Jake Paul experience. But you were talking about probabilities earlier. 7% chance to rain, 3% chance that the Ravens will be any good. But here's the thing. There is about a 1% chance that Mike Tyson can actually knock out Jake Paul, maybe even less. I don't see that happening. So any hope that we have of Mike Tyson knocking out Jake Paul, use it with a grain of salt. Take it with a grain of salt because I don't see it happening.
So I know Seacat is jazzed up about Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. I know it's a huge event. It'll be on Netflix. Everybody's going to be watching Friday night. I've gotten invited to 2 different watch parties for this thing. I can't even watch it or go to these parties because I'm be covering high school football because it's the first round of the playoffs. That's more important to me, Dean. I got to see what's going to happen with Royal Palm Beach to see if they can win their first playoff game in a couple of decades or whatnot. But should people actually be caring about this fight or watching it? It feels like such a joke.
No, you should care. You can care about it, but here's the thing. It could end tragically. That's all I'm saying. And that's probably why we should care about it. It's going to be like watching a train wreck because something bad could really happen. And I almost expect it to. Think about this. Imagine this for a second. Imagine if Emmitt Smith came back to play for the Cowboys for a game. Like, what would you think in your head? And Emmitt Smith is 2 years younger than Mike Tyson. What would you think in your head if Emmitt Smith came back to play for the Cowboys? You'd be like, they are absolutely nuts for allowing this old man to be in here. But for some reason, I think people know so little about fighting that they think that this could actually happen, that Mike Tyson could actually get this done. And I'm telling you, it's not going to happen. I wish it does. I hope it does, but it's not going to happen.
So I don't understand. So why do people believe it? I watched the press conference that they had, and Mike Tyson is not really playing it up that much. He's acting like it's no big deal. Jake Paul is like, I'm willing to bet my whole my whole paycheck on winning the fight. Like, what's the whole point of this thing then? If we really don't think, and you're the fight expert, Dean. Like, if people don't know, you were a UFC fighter. You're currently a UFC coach. You train with fighters. You know what fighters look like when they're past their prime and when they're in the midst of it. Like, so what's the whole point of this thing? Like, why should Tina tune in on Friday night? Is it just to see the train wreck?
It's nostalgia. It's 100% nostalgia and people's lack of knowledge of combat sports. Like, you can look back at all his old footage, and he's knocking guys out. And then you can look at some of his recent training, and he's showing these little short clips of him getting the pads, and then it cuts to another short clip, then another short clip. But there's never actually footage of him doing, like, 2 minutes worth of real work. They're all really short clips. And his attitude is the same as it was back when he was 20. That's the thing. We believe him because we know how crazy Mike Tyson is. We knew how crazy he was back then. We know how crazy he is today. And it's nostalgia that makes us want to believe that Mike Tyson can go out there and knock out a 28-year-old stud of a human being. Let's not forget that Jake Paul is a stud of a human. He's not just a guy coming off the couch. He's a guy who spent millions of dollars having the best boxing coaches coach him for the last 5 years. And since then, he's knocked out a handful of guys and has been looking really good and improving every time he stepped in there. This, to me, it could be tragic. I'm hoping it's not, but it could be tragic. So tune in to Netflix. It's on Friday night. You're going to love it.
Who would you rather get in the ring with? Jake Paul current day or Mike Tyson current day?
Oh, Mike Tyson for sure. Yeah, I would. Listen, I know how I feel at 48.
Yeah.
Like, in fact, I took the train today and I was taking the stairs, and like when I stepped off the last step, I buckled and almost fell.
Yeah.
That's how old I am right now. I couldn't imagine how I'm going to feel in the next 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. It's probably not going to be pretty, Dean. Dean Thomas here joining us by phone. Where are you at, Dean? Where are you are you like in a garage?
I am. Can you hear the echo?
Yeah.
I'm actually here's
I can see unmarked cars behind you.
Matt.
So is it gonna be a van just gonna pull up slowly and grab Dean Thomas in the middle of this hit here?
No, I'm in New York, man. I'm in New York for UFC Madison 309 Madison Square Garden, but I stopped by Long Island to do Matt Serra's podcast.
Okay.
And he right now where we're doing this podcast is definitely a lot of made men around here. There's everything you think about New York. It's definitely I'm in the center of it right now. And you're right. I'm a little afraid that somebody's going to just pull up on me in a black Escalade and just take me away.
Yeah, man, you gotta be on guard right here. If I see any cars pull up behind you, I will alert you. So I do want you to face your face towards the YouTube stream so that people can see you. But if we see anything, we will say something. Well, what about Saturday night UFC? That's a serious thing, right? You got Jon Jones. He's unstoppable in MMA. Like, is there any question in that fight? We looked up the odds. I think he's like minus 600 to win.
Yeah, I mean, the implications of this fight are very similar to the implications of Jake Paul and Mike Tyson. Except for it's obviously a lot closer, but, Stipe Miocic hasn't fought in 3 years. Last time he fought, he got knocked out, but he is the greatest heavyweight of all time. So this fight is really kind of a fight between two legends, and we want to see what's going to happen. Try to put some closure on the UFC's heavyweight division on who is the best. So that's the reason why this fight is happening. But I got to tell you, I've been seeing Jon Jones around the hotel all week, and I saw him last week at the UFC Apex during the fights. And it is a treat to have Jon Jones back into the MMA community because he's been gone for so long, getting in trouble, doing a lot of crazy stuff. But to have him back in the UFC's presence is a good thing.
Yeah, Jon Jones' legacy and his reputation outside the MMA, for the casual fan, kind of looks at him as a waste of talent because of how much trouble he got in with the substances outside the sport, no decisions, disqualifications, or whatnot. Is he gone past the point of return for his legacy for Jon Jones, or is a win today or on Saturday night and more wins after that able to bring him back?
Well, let me tell you this. I'm going to give you one number, the number 15. That is how many title defenses he has. You know what the next closest guy with that many is like 8 or something like that. I mean, this guy has so many title defenses that it doesn't really even matter what he does on Saturday night. His legacy as a great fighter will never be touched. His accomplishments as an MMA fighter will never be touched. This is why we consider him the GOAT, because of 15 title defenses. That's 15 times fighting the next best guy and beating him, finishing him, making him look stupid. Jon Jones is a GOAT. Doesn't really matter what he does Saturday night, although we do expect him to have a great performance and beat up on Stipe Miocic.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Like, I mean, only person I can think of that has that kind of record against other contenders and greats in the sport is a guy like Patrick Mahomes. Like, I mean, we're talking about GOATs. We're talking about the greats right here. Jon Jones gonna do his thing. Yeah.
Jon Jones he's the Michael Jordan of MMA. There's no question about that.
I like that.
So if Jon Jones lived a clean life outside of MMA, outside of the UFC, maybe he wouldn't be where he is now. Maybe in a twisted way that kind of fueled him in the ring. But if you had no issues outside the ring, what would Jon Jones be looking like when you look at the record and the numbers at the end of his career?
I mean, we'd probably look at him like a nerd, actually. I mean, I think there's some sort of reverence towards him with the fact that he is such a problem child. I think they love the fact that he is a problem child. I mean, it kind of fits the moniker of being an MMA fighter. When you think about MMA fighters, you don't think of these clean-cut guys that, are college educated. When you think MMA guys, you think of guys like Jon Jones. Guys always get in trouble. Conor McGregor, these guys get in trouble. So I think it actually adds to the allure and the legacy of Jon Jones. I mean, come on. I mean, this guy was winning championships when he was coked up. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, seriously.
Admitted. I'm not making that up. He admitted to it.
I'm wondering. I know Jon Jones. That's a whole different story there. Saturday night. I'm going back to Friday night on Netflix. If Mike Tyson was selling more weed, would he not be doing this fight? Like, if he was financially more stable, is this fight just a pocket, like a money grab, or is this have more to do with him actually wanting to get out there and beat up Jake Paul?
No, I don't think this has anything to do with him wanting to beat up Jake Paul or a money grab. I think that once you're a fighter, and Mike Tyson is a fighter, we know this by looking at his history. You can look back at all his old fights. As a teenager, he was beating up. He was 15 years old, beating up grown men. Mike Tyson is a fighter at heart. We know this. And once it's in your heart, it lives there forever. And I think this is an opportunity for him to not have closure on his fighting career, but just to relive it one more time.